Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Between the Vines. I'm Jennifer Phillips Russo, Cornell Viticulture Extension Specialist, part of the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program. And with me is my co-host, Andrew Holden, who is our Penn State side of things, Business Management Specialist. Before we get into everything we're going to talk about, it's good for us to let you know that the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program is a two-state, two-land grant university program. So our listeners in our region get the benefit of the research from both sides of Penn State University and Cornell. We're very proud of that fact. And this particular podcast is housed on the under Penn State. So if you're
Yeah,
looking for us online, obviously if you're listening to us, you've already found us, but you can know that it is housed or hosted by Penn State University. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
doing well. How are you doing? I got my Penn State extension shirt on today. So,
I have my LERGP extension shirt on today because we had a program that we put on, but we'll talk about in a little bit.
yeah,
Today, just so our listeners know, is August 20th, 2025. So we're coming to you at the end of August. We are located in along Lake Erie and also Lake Ontario. We also have Niagara County. So that gives you a little bit of idea if you're listening to it outside of our region, where we are in the world. We are cool climate viticulture here.
yeah. It's the middle of August, but it was kind of chilly out today.
Today, yeah, but last week, no. So it is
Yeah,
very unseasonably cool today, which actually is good for color development. Having
yeah,
those cooler evenings is better for color development in grapes. So interested to see how that plays out, which actually leads us to another thing that is going to be happening. We all know a lot happens at this time of year as everyone's preparing for harvest. We'll go into
yeah.
further detail on some of that. But we officially called Veraison and Concord grapes here at the Cornell Lake Erie Research and Extension Laboratory in Portland, New York. That's where we give all of our little yay us. That's where we're housed. But that's when we tell you that we officially called Veraison, it was right here in our research vineyards. When we call Veraison, it is when 50% of your clusters are showing 50% color. So 50% of our Concord clusters are showing a little bit of purple, and that's when we officially call Veraison. I think for Veraison that we should maybe explain exactly what that is.
Yeah.
So there is that double sigmoid curve. Does anybody out there know what that means? That we just lost half of the listeners. So the way that the berry development happens is there's a cell division in the beginning where after fruit set and the berries start forming up. And once we get to half of its final weight and size, then it sort of lags off a little bit, and we call that the lag phase, and that's when the
Hmm.
seed development happens. And after the berry has its seed development, it goes into another cell expansion stage, and that's veraison. That's when the berries, either if they're a red berry, they go from green to red and they soften up, or if they are a white variety, it goes from green to a yellowish color. And that's the signal for seed dispersers. Like our
Hmm.
grapes don't care that we're eating them or that we're making wine and juice. They just want to get their genetic material into the next generation. So biologically, it's saying, okay, raccoons, deer, birds, I smell really yummy, come and eat me, and then disperse my seeds somewhere else so that I can have more genetic material in the next generation, basically. Which also leads us to you might want to start getting your bird netting out if you are a wine grape grower and worried about the birds attacking your seeds before harvest or your berries before harvest.
I was going to ask that too, Jen. What does calling veraison, um, what physical impact or impacts does that have in relations to operations that growers should be doing? So yeah, if the berries are ripening, that means bird netting to protect them from birds. Is there anything else that we can use that call of veraison to look at?
Yes, a couple things actually, and thanks for asking that question. If you are a wine grape grower, and especially since it's been so dry and now we've had some rain coming, there is a potential for rapid cell expansion and some splitting, which
Oh,
causes some secondary infection. Like if
yeah.
you have an open wound on the grape, then you're more apt to get a botrytis or sour rot in there. So you should definitely be getting ready for some of your sprays on your wine grapes to protect them from the secondary infect or mildews and infections. Yeah. If you're a Concord grower, that means starting to get ready for harvest and things that you should be doing. And I know that
Hmm.
you've talked to a couple a couple growers. We did have a program today. We had
Yeah.
a program for the Department of Transportation. Yeah, DOT, Department of
Yeah.
Transportation. Do you want to tell our listeners what happened?
Yeah. It was great. We do this program here at our research station for our growers in the area every 2 years or so, and we had a state trooper come out and talk about regulation for hauling, farms hauling over the road. So mainly looking at semis hauling grapes was our main concern. Um, Basically, what registration and licensing that you have to be road legal, and what some of those requirements are. Especially when it comes to agriculture and farm use, they can get a little bit more complicated. There's some
Yeah.
exemptions there, but if you're a certain size or a certain license holder, then you have to make sure you're up to code on all those things. So it was really helpful. The growers that came had some good questions for the officer, and we can. Me and Jen are going to write a little bit about it in the next two crop updates for growers in our area. Obviously, if you're out of state, um, out of Pennsylvania, New York, you want to defer to your local state's rules. But as we're getting ready or getting closer to harvest, making sure that everything is up to code, doing an inspection of your trucks or your trailers that maybe haven't been in use since last year, or maybe saw some issue that you said, oh, we'll wait to solve that. It was at the end of the season. We'll wait to solve that next year. Now's the time to be taking a look at all of that, making sure that you're meeting regulation, making sure that all your employees and your drivers have what they need. So if they get stopped, if they get inspected, that it's not stopping you, because we know how busy, especially in our region, especially with Concords, how busy harvest can be. And you want trucks moving pretty much constantly, and having an inspection where you get withheld can, one, cost you money on fines, but also could take that truck out of service for a couple hours, if not more, and then you're in a real pickle. So being proactive about these things is what we try to encourage folks to do.
I love that. Then you're in a real pickle.
Yeah.
So not only that, but we also talked about, and we will be writing about this in our crop updates as Andrew spoke, about farm safety and just share the road, what you need for your farm
Yeah.
vehicles that are like slow moving vehicles. We'll have a lot of resources for you in our
Hmm.
digital crop updates that are coming up. So look for that this week and next week. But we just want to keep you all safe out there and give you the guidance that we're getting from the regulators that they will be looking for and help keep everyone safe.
Yeah. And maybe to expand on that even more, I spoke with the grower this morning that was using their harvester, or running their harvester to make sure everything was ready to go. And they found out they had some electrical issues, and then they blew a hydraulic line. Um,
Oh,
Again, those are things that if you can get them solved now before the real, you know, pressure of harvest, then that just will save you a lot of time and money and headache and stress. So, yeah,
right.
we
And
probably will say it every year, but now it's we're waiting for things to get busy, but really right now everyone should be, uh, if you haven't done it already, doing those pre-chats, those pre-harvest chats, and making sure everything is running smoothly, because getting parts takes time, getting things fixed takes time, and that time matters, especially during harvest.
and sooner rather than later. So we were talking with processors, and some of our early whites are already coming up off and going into harvest
Yeah,
next week.
yeah,
So you don't have a lot of time. I know it feels like maybe you do, but if you do run into an issue, then there's going to be some time waiting for parts and fixing. So let's be prepared and be safe this season. Yeah.
And we were talking earlier that the dry weather that we experienced, the beginning of August, end of July, that's in some areas that has pushed, fruit ripening ahead a little bit, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, the
So
dryness, certainly.
it's right around the corner.
It is right around the corner. There was a lot of purple. So I know many of you who listen to this regularly know that we are carrying out a microclimate study and we are following vineyards, just Concord vineyards along the lake, along the bench, and along the escarpment. And I have seen a lot of purple out there. I guess now's the time to talk about a lot of the things that I'm actually seeing in vineyards and not just Veraison, but I've seen a lot of plant hoppers coming in. So make sure that or leaf hoppers, sorry, make sure that you are not losing a lot of your leaves to that. I know they don't cause a ton of damage if they're in small numbers, but I've seen a lot of damage out there. So maybe just keep an eye on that. I have also seen downy mildew coming in on some Concords. Yes, I said
Mm.
that right. Concords. I've seen downy mildew coming in on Concords. So make sure that you are keeping those leaves clean because we all know there's a heavy crop out there this year, and you're going to need those leaves to help ripen that crop. Oh yeah. There's also adult spotted lanternflies now. So I got the official word from Ag and Markets that there are now adults in our region. When I say in our region, we're talking about the buffalo population,
Yeah.
not in our vineyards yet. However, it was noted this morning that there is a spotted lanternfly in vineyards in Ohio. We have them in Pennsylvania, obviously, not in Erie, PA. And we did just have an instar in Erie County, New York found, which was not in the Buffalo location. And Ag and Markets is looking at that and following it. It looks like a hitchhiker at this point in time, but we are definitely keeping our eye on it. So let's be diligent with our scouting while you're out there and just looking around. And please know that if you find one in our region, whether it's New York or Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
you do have to report it. So it's sort of a kill campaign. Sorry about that for everybody out there who has a tender soul, but this is an agricultural pest. I'm not saying I don't have a tender soul. Some might say that. I'm
Not
the
for
catch
spot
and release
lanternfly.
in my house, but not when it comes to spotted
No.
lanternfly. You need to stomp on that thing. If it is in our region, you have to kill it. You have to collect a sample of it, take a photo of it, and note, like if you can get the location of where you are, where you found it, and then you need to report it to your respective agencies. And that's all on our website. We will have it again in our crop update as well. In New York, it's reportslf.com. Out of curiosity, off the top of your head, do you know what it is for PA, Andrew? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I know it, but it's just left my brain.
Yeah. It's I can find it
I
for
know
you.
it's to PDA, but I don't remember what the URL is for that. Are you looking it up super quick? Because I can keep
Yeah.
chatting when you are. For those of you who are interested in spotted lanternfly and have known about our concerns with how many can reject a load and are there taint and toxicity, I just would like you to know that the New York Wine and Grape Foundation did fund a grant this year so that we can start doing some of that work with Dr. Gavin Sachs at Cornell University and Dr. Anna Catherine, also Cornell. And I'm working together with Ag and Markets to have them give me the adults that they collect so that we can do those studies with Concord juice. And is there any taint or toxicity? And yeah, they're all starting now. So I don't want you to feel like we're trying to be reactive. We're trying to be proactive before it even gets here. Did you find that reporting
I did
website?
not. No. Yeah, but
Oh man, I was
you can go to
stalling.
I know. You can go to the PDA website and find the SLF, and there's a bid report button right there.
There you
But
go.
I can't remember what our quick link is.
We have been talking about it for so many years that it just seems like old hat, but now it's becoming more important because it's slowly creeping into our area.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
have one of our
if it's
spotted land. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, if it's someone that is in our area and anyone that's listening to this podcast, you can definitely contact us, and we would help help with some resources, and we'll probably make it to your
Within
out to
24
scout.
hours, we will be
Yeah,
all over your
yeah,
vineyard.
exactly.
Then that's not joking. We fly out because that's how worried and concerned we are and ready to be there to help this region through it when it gets here. And it's when it gets here, not if it gets here. Andrew,
Yeah,
you keep fogging up on me if you're
I
watching us on YouTube. He keeps going all
yeah,
blurry.
don't know why.
So here we are. We're at Veraison. It's go time. Now we're going to be starting our weekly samples called Veraison to Harvest. I know that Pennsylvania, Penn State also does the same thing with Kane Hickey and his group. So we take weekly samples for juice quality and report them on our respective websites. So you will also have that coming up in the crop update. On the Cornell side of things, we also have a Veraison to Harvest podcast that we put out as we with Chris Gerling and Hans Walter Peterson and Alice Wise and Jeremy Schuster. We all get together and talk about where the grapes are, why they're there, other things that are happening across New York State. So if you're interested in that as well, please do a Google search for Veraison to Harvest. I know there were 5,000 other things that we wanted to talk about in this podcast. Oh, August 15th. August 15th happened.
Yeah,
On August 15th is when pricing is
yeah,
released.
yeah. So the there's a couple requirements in the state of New York if you are not cooperative and buy a certain amount of grapes off the market, you're required to list your prices publicly and report them with the state of New York. Um, so we have gotten some pricing data out there on Concord's. Uh, the cooperatives don't have to report it publicly, but they do have to, or they do share that price with their contracted growers. So a lot of our growers in the area know what they're going to be receiving now for their Concord. So we have a kind of a snapshot of the market, and just to touch on it, right now, what I've seen and talking to a few folks is that our thoughts of lower prices this year is what we're going to be experiencing in comparison to last year, right? The year before, we knew that supply was going to be high and our demand was lower than we had experienced previously, and we figured that would have an impact on the price. But we had that big frost in our region that basically knocked out yields across the New York side of our Great Belt, and
Yeah.
that really kept prices fairly stable. They did drop some from the all-time highs of 2023, but there wasn't any allocation. There wasn't any. I mean, there was a drop in price, but now this year with seemingly, um, you know, good to really good yield potential. Um, right now, we're seeing processors put out lower prices, which shouldn't be coming as too much of a shock. I don't think that was the general sentiment. It seems like the last couple of years, the folks knew that the market was softening on the global scale, whether it's wine grapes and other grapes, the west coast of the United States on a national scale, but um, we're hovering around that $300 a ton mark, um, depending on what the processor is, and right now that is. Um, it's not ideal. The growers, aren't making, um, you know, huge margins on that, but it is a price that I think is possible, to keep things going, pay the
That's
bills.
good.
Yeah, it's good. I I'm careful in choosing my words here because, obviously it's not ideal situation when we're coming off of all-time market, uh, you know, highs and a few really good years, and we're seeing that trend downward. So I don't want to, um, I don't want to be too negative or sugarcoat anything either. So it seems like, prices are going to be lower this year. On top of that, I think processors are trying to, keep prices as high as they can, but they're also not having the demand that they have had in previous years, which, in order to keep their prices high, it seems like we're seeing a lot of canceled contracts, or a lot of those contracts that are on year to year not being renewed. Um, that's just because there's less demand out there and they're not going to be able to fill those. So we're
Right. It's not just here though. I
yeah,
mean, I just came back from a European tour of our industry, of the grape and wine industry, and everyone is talking about a decline. Which I mean, it's not comforting to
yeah,
know that. I mean, misery loves company, I guess, but it's not just us. That helps me out a little bit.
yeah. And it's like I said, um, the price is serviceable if you have a market for your grapes. I know, the challenge is going to be, maybe those wine grapes that don't have a market or lost the market, as well as maybe even Concords and juice grapes that don't have a market. Those secondary markets, or those, um, other markets that would take your grapes, are going to be paying even less. Um, it's definitely going to be a challenge for some growers, and some of those, uh, marginal yields that not going to have we're not going to see a market for. Um, yeah,
But I don't want to say on the uphand because I also don't want to sugarcoat things.
yeah,
But we do have a tool for people who might be looking for grapes that they can't get where they
yeah,
normally are. And that's our classifieds that Andrew runs. So I know yesterday we had a grower come in who wanted to talk about putting some of his excess wine
yep,
grapes in the classified. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what that is and how to do it.
yeah. There is, a great tool. It's called the New York, Wine and Grape Classifieds. But, basically, if you're in the Northeast, we encourage you to use it. And it's works just like any sort of classified page. I say it's, the Facebook marketplace for wine and grapes. Maybe not as interesting as some of the stuff on there, but, if you want another place to post, if you have, something that you're looking to sell, it could be grapes, it could be equipment. We do jobs, wanted ads, services, anything, related to wine and grape industry that you're looking to buy or sell. I encourage you to use it. And we're getting, already quite a, it's, um, I've only been here a year and a half, so I've only seen one season, but it seems like we're getting a lot of folks posting grapes, for sale pre-harvest already. So if you do have grapes and you want another place to post them, please, sign up. You can find the information on our website, or just give me an email and we can get you signed up for it. The uh, the important, or the other thing I'd want to say about that is, if you're a winery or someone looking to buy grapes, please check it out. It's, I talk to growers every day, and encourage them to put it on there. But, if anyone in the industry that, is a buyer, is listening to this, please check out the wine and grape classifieds. There's a lot of, good growers, good quality grapes, being advertised on there. So check that out.
We're really trying to build that customer base on that as well. And I think that you're doing a
Yeah.
fantastic job with that. So thank you. Something that I wanted to mention, and this is I think that it's very important, and I want to make sure that others are aware of it, and that there is a grape harvester in combine rescue training. This is for firefighters and first responders. It's an event. I believe it is being held by the Farm Bureau of Chautauqua County.
Hmm.
It's going to be on Saturday, September 6th at the Westfield Ag and Turf, which is at 7521 Prospect Road in Westfield, New York. And it's from 8:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. No registration is required, but you can contact Jim Joy, and many of you around here know it. And I'm just going to give the number because it is on the flyer. So, Jim, you asked for it. So you can contact Jim Joy at 716 467 4200. Again, that is for the New York or Chautauqua County Farm Bureau's event that is grape harvester and combine rescue training. We're all about safety sort of on this podcast today, just knowing how things become fast and furious during harvest. And we want to make sure everybody has the tools to be safe. So this is for firefighters and first responders. Please reach out to Jim if you would like some more information on that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think we need to put that. That'll be in our crop update, but probably not so much in the classifieds that we were just
Yeah.
talking about.
If you're in Chautauqua County and are interested, yeah, take a look either at our stuff or the Chautauqua County Farm Bureau's pages.
Right. So I think I say one last thing, but then it always ends up being like the third to the last thing that
Yeah.
we talk about. But really excited to state that our collaboration with NASA Avris and NASA Acres actually went through. And I don't mean to say it with a negative connotation. I cannot explain to you how specific the weather has to be in order for these flights to happen.
Yeah.
So it was the Airborne Visible Infrared Imaging Spectrometer. So that's what AVRIS is. And they flew multiple lines over commercial vineyards in the Finger Lakes and Lake Erie region. And these flights were a part of Cornell and NASA's project to create high resolution maps of grapevine disease, vine nitrogen status, water stress, and other foliar traits that can support more precise disease and nutrient management. We're also trying to work together to get some models together for our region out of these flights. It was a go, no go meeting every single day at 7:30 in the morning with the flight team. Like, okay, there was some smoke happening, some wildfire smoke and particulates in the air. We can't fly today. There were a couple clouds. We can't fly today. So it was like, is this going to happen? Is it going to happen? And
Yeah.
I'm so proud to report that it happened. And it happened while I was out of the country. So I'm incredibly proud of the team that was here that jumped into response. I mean, they were really, I don't want to call it pins and needles, but there was always a contingency plan. Is it today? No. Is it
Yeah.
today? No. Is it today? So, really, really proud of how it went through and excited to see what's going to come out of this for our region. But how exciting that our region here in Western New York and with Cornell and Dr. Katie Gold and her work that she's done with the Jet Propulsion Lab and NASA Acres and now able to share that from our listening session last year. They were like, yeah, we should do some work in this area. So it happened and really excited to see what comes out of that. So yay.
And all the, Kim and Kara did a great job collecting that data on the ground to what do they call it? Ground truthing? Is that the
Yeah. So that's what happens is that we had to take a lot of measurements on the ground to help inform the imagery that they took from the air, which will then help inform imagery that will go in future satellites so that we can have better tools for agriculture in our region moving forward. So really cool. And I have to
yeah.
mention that it wasn't just our team that sprang into action and Agritech in Geneva that sprang into action. When Terry Bates' team on the research side also did it. But we worked with processors as well. We had processors flying drone flights over some
Yeah.
of them. So this is a huge collaboration, and we're really excited to see what can come out of it. Really, for this region, I'm very proud to say that that happened here. I don't know. I know there's something else coming up. Anything you have to think of while my brain clicks through the imaginary folders? We
Uh,
talked about spotted lanternfly.
yeah, there's on the business side of things, the latest FSA USDA program that came out was that supplemental disaster program where, especially for our growers that suffered that frost last year, especially in the New York side of our belt. Um, Most of them should already have been aware of this, but if you experienced a loss, there's a federal program that was um, helping recover some of those losses, even on top of your crop insurance loss or your crop insurance payment. And most of the growers I've talked to, they got a letter automatically in the mail. But there
Oh,
is going to be a second part of that if you did not get uh, a crop insurance payment. Maybe you had a loss, but it wasn't enough to trigger crop insurance, or maybe if you don't hold crop insurance, there is going to be a second round that gives payments to help with that disaster relief to those growers. So keep an eye out for that. As soon as it happens, I'll be sharing the information. But uh, if you did not get signed up for that program and you had a specialty crop loss last year due to a disaster, weather disaster like that, definitely reach out to your local FSA office and make sure you claim these funds, because it's fairly simple. You fill out the form, and my understanding is there's a pretty quick turnaround. So that's going to be huge for our growers, especially going into uh, you know this market uh,
right.
that we're expecting, or that we're seeing now. Um, the softened market. Uh, we're glad that growers that suffered that loss last year were able to see some payments made by the federal government. It's really rare in talking to growers, especially growers that have been here for decades. Um, Listening to them saying, this is rare that we've seen this many programs be applicable to grape growers. Not only this supplemental disaster relief program, but the marketing assistance for specialty crops program through the FSA earlier in the year that made some payments to our Concord and other grape growers. Um,
Yeah.
Take
Oh,
advantage of
good.
these as much as we can so that we can use that to weather some of these you know negative market outlets.
See, that was one thing past what I said would be the last thing, and now I have another thing to add on to it. So this is how we roll.
Yeah.
And this is me asking because I don't know, I'm not the business management specialist, but I do know how fast harvest comes upon us and how I don't want to call it frantic, but you are just focused on harvest. And by the time
Mm-hmm.
that ends, there are other deadlines that sneak up on us. You had just mentioned crop insurance, and I think that November, if you don't have crop insurance and you were entertaining maybe getting some, I think November's your deadline. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just have that in your thought if you're because it sounds like you get these additional help through these programs if you had the crop insurance, correct? Or
Yeah.
am I
Yeah.
incorrect in saying that?
November 20th. And yeah, the supplemental disaster relief program, um, that is the only I don't even want to call it a catch, but that's the only requirement of this program. Is if you sign up for it, then you have to get crop insurance coverage on your grapes at a higher level. Um, I don't have it right in front of me, but if you look at that program, it'll tell you at that higher level, I think maybe 75% um, for the following 2 years. So if you're already planning on buying insurance, it's not that much. If you don't have insurance currently, you might want to pencil it out and see if that payment is enough to cover those 2 years, if you think it's worth signing up for or not. But I will say in the grape industry, especially the juice industry, if you had any sort of major loss, it definitely would pencil out, and we can sit down and talk about that individually if growers have specific questions for their farm. But it's that's one of the requirements. It seems to me like the federal government is, um, offering this money to supplement some of those losses in revenue, but their trade-off is, all right, we are giving you this money, but we want to put that liability on insurance companies going forward. Um, we want there to be less risk in the specialty crop industry, so that if there are other events like this in the future, that they are covered by insurance. So it's one of the requirements for it. I appreciate you, Jen, bringing that up, because that's probably one of, on top of making sure people are aware of it, that's probably the second thing that they need to be aware of, is that it does come with that requirement. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know we're entering that time of the year where
Yeah.
things start to get a little bit hectic. So maybe we can be proactive about some of these, dropping little hints now and then to remind you of
And
what's coming up.
and speaking of that, I might have
See, I
already
think that's three now.
I might have already mentioned it in a past podcast, but if your harvest is being allocated in any way with who you are selling your grapes to, uh, if you haven't already, line up a time with your crop insurance adjuster to come and get
Pre-harvest.
a pre-harvest yield check.
Yeah.
If you deliver an allocated number, that is the number that will be used for future crop insurance averages.
The
And
pre-harvest.
well, if you deliver an allocated load without that pre-harvest estimate, then, or that pre-harvest appraisal, then that lower number will be the one that goes into your average crop insurance numbers, which is just 1 year, and it'll only bring it down some, but you should be getting credit on your averages for your full production. So it doesn't cost you anything. Talk to your crop insurance provider. They'll line up a time for their estimators to come out, their adjusters to come out.
Is there anything else that we want to add, or maybe we'll just save that for the next one? But I just
Yeah.
kind of want to say, here we go. Strap in, be safe. Please
Yep.
call us if you have any questions. If you have anything that you want to see some programming on or hear a podcast on, we will certainly welcome those comments. And we are setting up in the future, probably for the winter months, so that I don't want to say that we bother you. Please don't agree with me if you're listening out there, but we try to respect your time during harvest and not
Yeah.
get in your face. But we are just want you to know that we are here if you do have
Yep.
questions and you need us. So please reach out via email, text us. You can find our contact information at lergp.com. Thank you for listening in to Between the Vines. We truly appreciate your listenership and look forward to any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. Do you have anything you want to end with, Andrew?
I think you got it exactly right. Have a safe harvest, everybody. Make sure we're ready to go into harvest full bore.
Be safe, everyone. Thank you.
That's